It's me again. I'm leaving New Hampshire. I'm drinking some New Hampshire apple cider. God, that's good. I wasn't expecting to love New Hampshire as much as I did. I know I feel like I'm saying about every state, but I showed up and it was raining really hard. I pulled into Hanover, which is the first place I was going to visit, and my boots had a hole in it. I was really cold. I had issues with parking at Dartmouth, and I got harassed by a campus Democrat who was asking me if I was registered to vote. It was a lot. But I met up with my friend Ethan, who I worked on the Hillary Clinton campaign with in Iowa for the caucus. He was 18 years old, taking a gap year, and now he's a junior at Dartmouth. History major, philosophy minor. I'm so proud of him. And yeah, he was really kind of down for a chill study day because it was homecoming weekend and he had some work to do. So I got a really great chance to lay low, use the library, hang out at Dartmouth, which is a beautiful Georgian campus. And then I got to interview Max, who is his roommate, who's the head of the college Dems at Dartmouth. And the first question I asked him when I interviewed him was, are campus Dems still relevant? Because something that Ethan and I have been talking about is field organizing effective? I know maybe some people watching this work in field organizing. The answer is clearly yes. But the 2016 election sort of showed that Trump, who had no field operation, still was able to pull it off, even though that the Hillary spent millions and millions and millions of dollars paying staff, thousands and thousands of staff across the country. So it was worth asking in an age where people get a lot of their news from Facebook and the internet and things like that. Is that what shapes people's opinions rather than being called incessantly? And he said, of course campus Dems are relevant. We're a meme. Like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, we're meme famous on campus. There's a page called Ice Cold Memes or Dartmouth Memes for Ice Cold Teens or something like that. And he's like, yeah, we're like, people are making memes about us, so we're super relevant. And he showed me the memes, and they're all like about how aggressive the campus Dems are at Dartmouth. And it's sort of like, oh, if there's a group me, like, that's fair game to text about being registered to vote. Or like at a party, the campus Dems are like, allow us to introduce ourselves. So I thought that was kind of an interesting answer. But then he went on to say, in 2016, Hillary Clinton won the state by 2,000 votes. That's less than half the population of Dartmouth, which is 4,400 people. And the candidate for Senate, Maggie Hassan, won by a little over 1,000 votes. So if you think about that, the campus Dems actually have a huge impact on campus in mobilizing people to vote. He said that you need to contact a college kid about 9 times to remind them to register to vote. I mean, I was in college. You did not need to contact me 9 times, but the average non-politically interested college kid I can understand. And he pointed out that if those Dartmouth kids hadn't mobilized and Maggie Hassan hadn't won, then Kelly Ayotte would have been in the Senate, and when they tried to repeal the ACA, which John McCain voted down and lost by 1 vote, there would have been 1 more Republican vote in the Senate, and we might have lost the ACA. And how we feel about the ACA is, I don't know, whatever you think about that. But it's a real impact. So any attention on campus for the campus Dems is important. So after that great interview, Ethan had to go to the library. I did a little work myself, did a little writing, and then Ethan and I were walking back to his house, and he said, you know Dartmouth Pong, right? I'm not familiar with Dartmouth Pong. It's a drinking game that they play at the fraternities, which is sort of the social hub on campus, because in Hanover there aren't really any bars. So we went to his fraternity, brought me back, sweet memes, but no one was really there to play Dartmouth Pong. But I got the smell of the fraternity to bring me back to those days. I went back to his house, met his roommates, and they talked a little bit about how Dartmouth is changing, and they're trying to make it into a research university and bring the best people from all over the world, which is maybe slightly changing the culture of the Fun Ivy, that people are there to sort of like be smart but also party. So it's interesting that people can feel their institution changing from under them. There's a question of, are fraternities even going to be around? But it's such a huge part of the campus culture, the social culture. It's basically revolves around these fraternities that host all these parties that everyone on campus is invited to. So just an interesting question. The next day, I got a little exercise in the morning, went to the nice gym in Dartmouth, and then I drove to North Conway to meet my friend Sarah, and she's been working as a guide for a program for kids where they take them out in the wilderness. It's like part therapist, part wilderness guide. So anyway, she's been living in New Hampshire and Vermont for a while. So she took me around to all the natural places, took me to Diana's Pools, which is a beautiful waterfall that the Victorians, the gentry, used to come to, and their big skirts and suits and things like that. Now it's open to the public as a national park. Took me up to a nice cliff. We did a little hike. And I got to see really that New Hampshire revolves around the outdoors. It revolves around going on a bike ride, going on a hike, really nature. And she said from her experience that the community aspect isn't as tight, or there isn't as much going on in the community as in Vermont, because there's just so much outdoor things to do and people really enjoy doing that. And you go out there are tons of people on these trails. A woman and her family said they saw a bear, and they told us about it. And so that was a really interesting experience to get out in the outdoors. She said she rock climbs up the side of mountains and climbs up waterfalls, which blows my mind because I'm so untalented with everything like that. And then we went on a drive through the beautiful New Hampshire mountains. It's funny because you'll be driving and it'll be fall, sort of at sea level, and then you'll drive up the mountain and you're seeing evergreen trees covered in snow, and then you drive back down again and it's gold and red and orange leaves again, no snow on the ground, and then you go up another mountain and you're like in freaking Christmas town. So we went on a drive, then we went to the Mount Washington Hotel. It's this old, beautiful Grand Budapest hotel looking hotel sort of in the middle of nowhere in New Hampshire that overlooks Mount Washington. And we went and walked around. It's got a very old vibe to it, very old world charm. You can tell it's sort of a summer place to go. And so walked around, we got into the pool area, and we got to dip our feet in the hot tub after some clever acting on our part, pretending we were guests at the hotel. And on the way back, we stopped for dinner at a really delicious cidery. They wouldn't give us cider donuts for dessert. All we were like, can we have one donut? They're like, sorry, it's like part of a dessert. It comes with ice cream and caramel sauce and 2 donuts. We're like, we just want the donut. They wouldn't do it. And then we went and we stayed with her friend Sarah, who also was a guide for this program. I think it's called Summit. I don't know. More on that. And we had a great time, had some tea, had some chats, and quickly went to bed. And then the next morning, one of their other coworkers showed up. It had been unclear whether or not he'd been sleeping outside, but he was very feverish. He showed up, wrapped himself in a sleeping bag, and fell asleep. And then we planned our trip to Maine, and we went on a beautiful drive up the mountains, through the White Mountains to get to Maine, and that's where we are right now. And here I am drinking cider. So, of the states I've been to, I think New Hampshire is the most beautiful aesthetically. It might be the time of year. It's very peak, I believe, maybe a little past peak, just like me. But I'm a big fan of New Hampshire. And I told Sarah, this is partially my trip to find out where I'm going to live in the U.S. after I get back from the U.K. And she gave me a prediction about where I'm going to end up, and I'm not going to spoil it here. But it makes me excited to know that there are places like New Hampshire out here that are just so beautiful and good people who care about an active lifestyle, the outdoors. So thanks for watching this. Hope it's illuminating, and I'm a little bit closer to discovering the New Hampshire state of mind. Onward to Maine.